What is up, everybody? Today's video is going to show you my 5 favorite setups for targeting striped bass in the springtime. Just going to give a brief synopsis on each one and then show you some clips from a recent trip where I went out and tested them and caught some stripers on them. So let's get it started. Alright, so the first setup is probably the one I utilize most trips. Almost every trip I have a rod rigged up with just a jig and a swim bait, soft plastic swim bait. And the versatility of this rig is endless. I mean, most of the time I'm honestly working it along sod banks, shallow flats, just casting and retrieving. You could also utilize it in a way in deep pockets, creeks, stuff like that, pitching it out on a heavier jig, letting it hit the bottom and working it at a certain cadence. You really can't go wrong. It's a very cheap method to, get on stripers. It's very effective. If you took all the striped bass I've caught in my life and you kind of put them in a column of what they were caught on, I would say probably 70% of the fish I've caught are on something like this, a soft plastic swim bait on 1/4 ounce, 1/2 ounce jig. Let's see the clip.
Alright, I'm going to work the outskirts of this creek before I work my way in, because I think when I work from the inside out, I might be spooking fish that are on the outside. So today we're going to take a backwards approach. Let me try and turn my nose in the kayak in. Let's see. See if anybody's home. Ooh. Yes. Yes. That's a good feeling. When it's like sub 30 degrees out, 30-mile-per-hour winds, man, getting a fish right off the bat always helps morale. He's not very big, but I don't want to flip him into the kayak. And he's got some cool colors though. Look at that guy. He's got like a bluish hue to him. Look at that. Or purple, I guess you would say. That is pretty cool. Let's get him back in the water. I don't know, maybe 24 on a good day. Nothing crazy. Let's regroup and try that again. There we go. Let's go. Thought I saw on the bottom for a second. That's a fish. That's awesome. Get you in. Whew. Just a little bass. There he goes.
The next lure that I set up this day and went out and tested was a blade bait. These are really, really effective in colder water. They work just as well in warmer water. I've done really well actually wreck fishing with these for sea bass and other fish like that. But early spring, late fall, when the water temps drop and the bite is really slow, this could be the winning ticket. Just the aggressive vibration that this puts off. Most of the time we'll trigger a reactionary strike more than anything. And I've had many trips where I'm drifting over fish and I've thrown 2-3 different lures at them and they didn't touch them. And I throw one of these down there and just aggressively jig it and boom, you got a fish. But on this day I end up missing one and then getting one right after.
So the beauty of these blade baits is you could fish them really however you want to. There's no like right or wrong way. They're designed with different holes drilled in them to have different modes of, frequency, I guess you would call it, of how, fast you want your jig to work or how slow. From what I've learned, the further towards the eye, the higher frequency the jig is. Towards the back, the slower it is, and angle it's on. We're gonna start in the middle because the water's not, as cold as it usually is this time of year. This time last year, the water was about 8 degrees cooler. So I think we're gonna just start in the middle and go from there. Oh, son. On the blade bait, baby. Oh, he spit it. Oh, there we go. I think that might be a striper. Yeah, definitely a striper. I was gonna say, if that was a perch, that would be a very nice perch. Probably like a state record perch. But now we just got ourselves a striper with a diaper. Little guy. Man, he just, well, call that luck. Glad that that snapped in the boat and not with it in his mouth. Not a bad little striper.
Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of this next method, but it is effective and it works very well. You could utilize it in multiple ways, kind of similar to the jig head and swim bait. I have a weedless weighted hook set up with, a soft plastic. Usually if I'm trolling, this is the method I'll go, especially, around the full moon tides when you're getting a lot of that grass and debris that's getting pushed around the bay and rivers. And if you're fishing a jig every, 2 minutes, your line's getting weeds. The weedless approach is the way to go. This is also really the way I'll fish if I'm fishing less than 2 feet of water, especially on flats. Even, a 1/4 ounce jig sinks a little too quick. And a lot of the 1/8 ounce jigs that they make aren't really designed, I feel like, for striped bass. They're kind of more for like freshwater species. So I'll move to, just this weightless setup. On this trip, like I said, I'm not a huge trolling guy, but if I'm on my kayak and I'm traveling a certain distance, most trips I'm anywhere from like 6 to 12 miles on the kayak, and it never hurts to have a rod, trolling behind you. I end up picking probably like 2 to 3 fish up every trip, just trolling, just going to a spot. But let's check this out.
Oh, the weedless. Bass on the weedless. Let's go. It's actually not a bad one. Not for this time of year. Man, I'll tell you what, they sure get some cool colors on them. And he spit it just as I got it in. This guy's not very big. Felt bigger. Now he's got some interesting looking marks on him. Let me see if I can't grab him for you. See that under his belly? Almost like the beginning of a rot. Wonder what causes that.
All right, so the next method is probably my favorite to watch and probably the most exciting method of targeting these fish using topwater plugs, or this is a Super Spook Junior. I mean, usually there's a time and place for this, especially in the spring when the water starts to get warmer and the fish are pushing higher up in the water column and they're, congregating in certain areas where topwater would make sense. I got lucky on this day. I saw some fish that were feeding in a creek, and the creek's super shallow. So if I throw a jig or I throw something bigger in there, it's going to sink straight to the bottom, catch, any debris down there, and it also might, spook the fish that are in that creek. So something like shallow water, low light, early morning, sunset type deal, this is my way to go. This next clip was actually pretty fun.
All right, I just tied on a spook junior. See if we can get this fish to hit a spook. Oh, that's awesome. Came after it. Let's go. Man, the spook junior never lets you down. Not a big guy, but man, these small bass are feisty. That's pretty cool. Oh, let's get him in the boat. All right. Easy, buddy, easy. All right, man, so let's just use the pliers. He wasn't going anywhere. There we go. Put him back in the water. There he goes.
All right, so the last one has become one of my favorites in recent years. In fact, the last 2 springs and falls, I've had more fish on this during that time period than any other lure. I guess you could technically say it's a soft plastic, but it's kind of a mix, like these shad body jigs. This is an Elias V Mackinaw shad. A little different presentation than like a jig and swim bait. More of a narrow profile and a heavier jig, especially if you're jigging deeper areas. Like I like to hit areas as deep as 40 feet, and 1/2 ounce does not do it, especially on light tackle in that deep of water with high current. Something like this, it's like 1 ounce. I believe these are 1.1 or 1.3 ounces. Get straight down to the bottom where these fish are. The tail and body have great action, and really it's one of the simpler, techniques and lures you can use, because it's literally drop to the bottom and just snap jig, rhythmically until a fish sees it.
Gonna just do some deep water jigging. Got a Mackinaw shad, some Procure. See if we can't make it happen today. There's a fish. There is a fish right there. Let's go. That actually feels like a nicer fish. Whew. The old battery dying after you hook the fish has become like a common appearance for me, man. I need to figure something out, because I can't tell you how many times this has happened this year. Man, this is actually a nicer bass. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh. He absolutely thumped that jig. Oh. I had a feeling there might be a bass sitting there. Yeah, look at that, man. That ain't too shabby. I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna measure him, but my guess is, I don't know, 26 and a half. He's definitely got some thickness to him. All right. That was pretty cool. See if he swims under the kayak. Yep, there he goes.
So I hope this was beneficial for you guys. As always, if you ever have any questions, drop them down below and I'll try and get back to you. If you're interested in more, hands-on information and more niche-specific fishing stuff, maybe check out my Patreon. The link is down below. I have, a huge library of different videos, different saltwater species, and what we do to target them. Thanks for watching.